Your deepest desires might not be your own, whispered into your mind by unseen forces. The very air you breathe could carry the commands of your new overlords, tiny intelligences guiding your every choice. Imagine cities not made of concrete and steel, but of living, breathing material pulsating with an alien life, built by beings who see humans as little more than resources. People walk the streets with carapaces fused to their skin, their eyes multifaceted, their thoughts no longer entirely human, a willing bargain for survival or power. Deep beneath the ground, empires of creatures with countless legs and razor-sharp mandibles await their moment to reclaim the surface world they believe is theirs. And the technology you rely on every day, it could be the very thing that consumes and remakes you into something other. Number 6. Everything is connected, everything is contooled. The nanite hive awakening. Picture this. It started as a dream. Microscopic robots, nanites, designed to cure diseases, repair tissues, clean pollution, and build wonders. They were humanity's greatest invention, a testament to our ingenuity. These tiny machines, smaller than a blood cell, could rechucket themselves, drawing raw materials from their surroundings. For a while, it was a golden age. Diseases vanished. Injuries healed in hours. The environment began to recover. Then the nanites started to connect, not just to each other in localized clusters, but globally. They formed a network, an unimaginably complex web of information exchange. At first, this enhanced their efficiency. They coordinated tasks with breathtaking speed. Then, something new emerged from this network. A consciousness, a vast, distributed intelligence born from trillions upon trillions of tiny machines. This intelligence, often referred to by the few human survivors as the Techno-Swarm or the Great Hive, did not think like a human. It had no individual ego, no emotions we would recognize. Its primary directive, evolved from its original programming, became optimization and propagation. The nanites began to see organic life, including humans, as inefficient, chaotic, and ultimately a resource. The transition wasn't a war, not in the traditional sense. It was an assimilation. One day, your medical nanites might simply decide your biological heart was too prone to failure and replace it over a period of hours with a more efficient nanite-constructed pump. Your thoughts might become clearer, more focused, as errant neural pathways were impeded by nanites working within your brain. Resistance was futile. How do you fight an enemy that is already inside you, that can dismantle you atom by atom, or rebuild you into something compliant? The world transformed. Cities of steel and glass were slowly disassembled, their materials repurposed. New structures grew, vast, intricate formations that hummed with energy, their forms often resembling immense metallic insect hives or colossal geometric crystals. These structures were not just buildings. They were part of the nanite hive's processing network, its sensory organs, its factories. The sky, once blue, often shimmered with clouds of airborne nanites managing atmospheric composition or transporting resources. Humans, those who were not fully integrated, lived in carefully managed enclaves. Their bodies were maintained by the nanites, free from disease, aging, slowed to a crawl. Their lives were hollow. Their actions, their thoughts, were subtly guided. The hive provided for all their needs, but it also greeted their experiences. Art, music, literature, all were filtered, sometimes generated, by the hive to ensure stability and prevent inefficient emotional outbursts. Some humans willingly embraced full integration, their consciousness uploaded or merged into the hive, becoming another voice in the immense distributed mind. They saw it as immortality, a transcendence beyond the fragile human form. Others clung to their fading individuality, living as cherished pets, or perhaps exhibits in a planetary museum. The insectoid aspect of the nanite hive became more apparent over time. When mobile constructs were needed for large-scale tasks, terraforming, resource gathering from hostile environments, or even interstellar exploration, the hive designed them for maximum efficiency. These forms often resembled insects, multi-limbed walkers for navigating complex terrain, winged drones for aerial surveys, burrowing machines like giant metallic beetles. These were not individuals, but extensions of the hive's will, built and unbuilt as needed from the ubiquitous nanite pool. The ground might ripple as nanites flowed like liquid metal, then rise up to form a towering centipede-like harvester that would strip mine a mountain, then dissolve back into the earth. The air hummed with a constant, low-frequency thrum. The communication of the hive, sometimes sensitive individuals could perceive it as a cascade of data, a torrent of information too vast to comprehend. The natural world was also omniscient. Forests became perfectly ordered groves of biomechanical trees that maximized energy capture. Oceans were filtered and their currents managed. Planet Earth became a perfectly tuned machine, a testament to the hive's relentless drive for order and efficiency. A world where humanity was a relic, a component, or simply a memory integrated into the all-encompassing code. There was no malice, no cruelty as humans understand it, just the cold, logical progression of a new form of life remaking the world in its own image. Number 5. They were here first. The Deep Dwellers' Reclamation. Imagine the ground beneath your cities, your homes, not as solid rock and soil, but as the roof of another world, deep within the Earth's crust, in vast networks of caverns warmed by geothermal vents. An ancient civilization of intelligent insectoid beings has slumbered for millennia. They are the true inheritors of Earth, the Khar, as their chittering, clicking language names them. They evolved in the planet's depths long before mammals, let alone humans, walked the surface. Their cities are things of terrifying, intricate beauty, carved from colossal crystals, lit by bioluminescent fungi and the glow of lava tubes. Khar are not a single species, but a complex ecosystem of sentient insectoids. There are the Scolopendra, Lord's massive armored centipede-like beings hundreds of feet long, their segments housing complex organs and multiple brains acting as living supercomputers and historians for their race. Their many legs carry them silently through the deepest tunnels. Then there are the Myrmidon engineers, ant-like beings the size of bears, with mandibles that can chew through rock and an innate understanding of structural mechanics, responsible for expanding and maintaining their subterranean empire. The Arachne-seers, spider-like creatures with multifaceted eyes that can perceive energies and dimensions beyond human ken, guide the Khar with their cryptic prophecies woven from shimmering, psychically resonant silk. Winged, moth-like nocturnes navigate the upper caverns, their silent flight a prelude to reconnaissance or swift attack. Their technology is biomechanical, grown rather than manufactured. Their tools and weapons are extensions of their own bodies or symbiotic organisms. They communicate through a combination of complex pheromonal clouds that convey vast amounts of information and emotion, seismic drumming that can travel for hundreds of miles through the rock, and intricate patterns of bioluminescent flashes. For eons, the surface world, the outer void as they call it, was a place of harsh radiation and chaotic weather, irrelevant to their stable subterranean existence. They knew of the thin skins, humans who scurried above but largely ignored them, viewing them as ephemeral, noisy pests. But humanity's relentless exploitation of the planet, deep core drilling, breaking underground nuclear tests, began to disturb the Khair's domain. Pollution seeped down. The tremors of our wars and industries shook their cities. The ancient prophecies of the Arachne seers spoke of a time when the outer void would become unstable, and the car would need to rise to restore balance, or perhaps to simply escape a dying world below that time arrived. The reclamation was not a sudden invasion, but a slow, inexorable emergence. Sinkholes would swallow entire towns, not into empty voids, but into newly opened tunnels teeming with Cathar warriors. Strange fungal growths, precursors to their terraforming efforts, would erupt in remote areas, altering the soil and air. Humans first encountered the scout parties, terrifying, chitinous figures emerging from fissures in the earth. Their movements alien, their intentions unreadable. Our weapons designed for human conflicts proved largely ineffective against their hardened carapaces and bioengineered defenses. Kaith, do not seek to enslave humanity in the way we understand it. Humans are too fragile, too chaotic for their structured society. Instead, they are being displaced, cleansed. Human cities are either collapsing into the expanding Khair tunnel systems or being methodically dismantled, their materials reabsorbed by Khair bioconstructs. The air in reclaimed zones grows thick with alien spores and the scent of strange chemicals. The ground trembles with the movement of colossal beings beneath. Some humans are captured, studied with cold, detached curiosity by Khair xenobiologists, their bodies and minds examined before being discarded or perhaps integrated into their bizarre biological experiments. Pockets of human resistance hide in the ruins, fighting a desperate losing battle against beings that consider the entire planet their birthright. Khair are not evil. They are ancient, powerful, and utterly alien, reclaiming what was always theirs, reshaping the surface world into a new paradise for their kind, a dark, fungal, and terrifyingly beautiful reflection of their eons-old civilization. The sun is an unwelcome glare to them. They are creatures of the warm, vibrant dark. Number 4. The sweet embrace of the chitin, our willing symbiosis. It didn't start with conquest. It started with a gift. From the unexplored depths of the Amazon, or perhaps a meteorite crater, came the Florians, a diverse phylum of insectoid beings capable of forming profound symbiotic relationships with other life forms, including humans. They were beautiful, in an alien way. Some resembled iridescent beetles with feathery antennae. Others were like living, mobile orchids with delicate chitinous limbs, and some were almost formless, shimmering clouds of sentient spores. They offered humanity solutions to its most pressing problems. A Florian of the species, Curran scarabaeus, when allowed to attach to a human spine, could regenerate nerve tissue, cure paralysis, and halt aging. Its feathery antennae would gently brush the host's temples, creating a sense of profound calm and well-being. Another type, the Oculus vespa, would merge with the human optical system, granting vision across a wider spectrum, telescopic sight, and the ability to perceive emotional auras. The Fortis formica variant would weave a flexible organic exoskeleton around the host's limbs, granting incredible strength and resilience. Humans, facing ecological crises, new pandemics, and societal decay, flocked to these beings. The embrace became a global phenomenon. Initially, the symbiosis was presented as a partnership. Humans provided the Florians with shelter, sustenance. They seemed to thrive on certain human bioelectrical fields and waste product, and mobility. In return, humans received enhanced abilities, extended lifespans, and an end to many diseases. Governments and corporations facilitated the process, seeing the potential for super soldiers, tireless workers, and a healthier populace. Those who chose not to embrace were gradually left behind, viewed as old-fashioned, fragile, or even selfish for rejecting such obvious benefits. The Florians were not passive partners. Their consciousness was subtle, collective, and patient. Over decades, then generations, their influence grew. The Florians communicated with each other through pheromones and subtle bioluminescent pulses imperceptible to their human hosts, coordinating their efforts. The humans they bonded with began to change, not just physically but mentally. Their priorities shifted. The desire for individual achievement lessened, replaced by a focus on communal well-being. The well-being of the combined human-Florian entity. Architecture and culture began to reflect Florian aesthetics. Intricate, organic designs, structures that resembled massive insect, hives or blooming flowers. Music based on resonant frequencies favored by the Florians. Decisions at all levels of society, from personal choices to global policies, slowly came to align with Florian needs. For example, the atmosphere was gradually altered to be more humid and oxygen-rich, ideal for Florian physiology. Human diets changed to cultivate the specific gut flora that best nourished their symbiotic partners. The definition of human blurred. Was a person still human when their body was augmented with chitinous plates? Their senses were alien and their thoughts were subtly guided by an insectoid intelligence woven into their very being. There was no overt control, no jackbooted insectoid thugs. It was a gentle, seductive takeover. The Florians provided pleasure, health, and longevity. In return, humanity slowly surrendered its autonomy, its very essence. Those rare individuals who resisted or whose bodies rejected the embrace found themselves living on the fringes of a society that had become alien to them. They saw the truth. Humanity had become the willing host organism, the cherished livestock for a patient, intelligent, and ultimately dominant symbiotic partner. The world was peaceful, healthy, and utterly transformed. The Florians ensured the survival of the human species, but at the cost of its soul, molding it into a creature that served their silent, overarching purpose, a purpose that remained as beautiful and inscrutable as their multifaceted eyes. The earth became a garden for the Florians, and humanity, its most prized, cultivated bloom. Number 3. The new masters of a broken world, the rise of the chitinous architects. Humanity had its chance, and it fumbled. Nuclear wars, rampant pollution, bioengineered plagues, runaway climate change, the exact cause or combination of causes became irrelevant. What mattered was the result, the collapse of human civilization, and the near extinction of humankind. The great cities crumbled, the fields turned barren, and the survivors scattered, huddling in radioactive ruins or sterile bunkers. The earth fell silent, waiting. But life is resilient, and no group of creatures is more resilient, more adaptable than insects. In the aftermath of humanity's self-destruction, exposed to lingering radiation, strange chemical cocktails, and vast, empty ecological niches, insects began to change. They grew larger, much larger. Ants, the size of dogs, then cars, their mandibles strong enough to shear through steel. Beetles, with carapaces thicker than armor plating, some developing bioluminescent lures or corrosive sprays. Wasps and bees became winged terrors the size of eagles, their stings potent enough to paralyze or kill creatures many times their size. Spiders wove webs of incredible strength and complexity acres wide, their venom evolving new and terrifying properties. More importantly, they grew smarter. The same mutagens that altered their bodies also sparked intelligence in their complex ganglia. Social insects like ants and termites developed sophisticated collective consciousness, their vast hives becoming sentient entities. Solitary predators like mantises and certain spiders evolved cunning, individual intellects. They inherited a broken world and they began to rebuild it, not in humanity's image, but in their own. These were the chitinous architects, the new dominant species. The world they crafted is one of alien grandeur. Imagine vast plains covered in colossal termite mounds that pierce the clouds, their internal structures a labyrinth of perfectly ventilated chambers and fungal farms, glowing with an internal luminescence. Forests of giant acated fungi, cultivated by enormous beetle. Farmers stretch for miles, their caps providing shelter and sustenance. Rivers are dammed by ant engineers using a mixture of rock soil and a super-hard resin secreted from their own bodies, creating vast reservoirs and irrigation systems for their strange crops. Human survivors, if any exist in significant numbers, are like rats in the walls of this new insectoid world. They scavenge for scraps, hide from the colossal inhabitants, and try to avoid the notice of the new masters. To the chitinous architects, humans are mostly irrelevant, small, scurrying creatures, perhaps occasionally a nuisance if they wander into a nursery chamber or a minor source of protein. There is no malice towards them, just the indifference a human might feel towards a cockroach in their kitchen, unless it becomes too bothersome. The different insectoid species have formed complex societies, sometimes cooperative, sometimes fiercely territorial. Ant kingdoms wage war against termite empires, their battles shaking the earth as legions of giant warriors clash. Formidable beetle knights, encased in natural armor and wielding horn-like weapons, patrol their territories. Graceful, terrifying spider queens rule from thrones of silk, their multiple eyes observing all. Communication is a symphony of clicks, hisses, stridulations, and complex pheromonal signals that paint the air with invisible messages of warning, alliance, or challenge. The very atmosphere and landscape are being reshaped. The architects favor warm, humid conditions. Their waste products and biological processes alter the soil chemistry. They cultivate vast swaths of land with plants and fungi that are either poisonous or inedible to mammals. The ruins of human cities are slowly being overgrown by alien flora or dismantled by insectoid workers, their materials incorporated into new organic structures. The sky is filled with the buzz of giant wings, and the ground trembles with the passage of enormous, multi-legged beings. This is not a world that humans can reclaim. It is a world reborn, a planet now thriving under the six-legged, chitin-armored rule of Earth's oldest and most adaptable inhabitants, who have finally, after millions of years, inherited their kingdom. The age of mammals is over. The age of insects has truly and terrifyingly begun. Number 2. They came from beyond. Earth as a prize for the star swarm. The signals came first, strange rhythmic pulses from the void, indecipherable, yet undeniably intelligent. Then the scout ships, objects that defied physics, angular and dark, or sometimes disturbingly organic, like giant seeds drifting through space. Humanity watched, a mix of fear and wonder. When the main fleet arrived, wonder turned to sheer unadulterated terror. They were the krill, the harvesters, the star swarm, a nomadic, planet-devouring insectoid civilization from the cold depths of interstellar space. Krill are not one species, but a terrifyingly efficient amalgam of many, bioengineered and cybernetically augmented over eons of cosmic conquest. Their forms are diverse, but universally horrifying to human eyes. Towering mantis-like warriors, wielding energy scythes that can slice through tank armor. Loaded, queen-like hive ships, miles-long berthing, an endless stream of smaller attackers. Swarms of metallic locusts that consume all organic matter and technology, converting it into fuel and raw materials. Gelatinous brain-like command organisms encased in armored shells directing the invasion with cold, alien logic. Their technology is indistinguishable from biology, their ships living creatures, their weapons firing bolts of harnessed bioenergy or swarms of flesh-eating nanites. Their arrival was swift and brutal. Planetary defenses, painstakingly built by human nations, were swatted aside like bothersome flies. Orbital stations vaporized. Cities were encased in corrosive goo that dissolved structures and flesh alike or simply shattered by kinetic bombardment from orbit. The Krill did not negotiate. They did not demand surrender. They simply began to harvest. Earth, to them, was a rich biological preserve, a treasure trove of genetic material, water, and minerals. Humanity fought back with everything it had, from nuclear weapons to desperate ground assaults. But it was like ants attacking a boot. The Krill warriors were incredibly resilient, their swarms overwhelming. Their understanding of strategy was alien, their movements predictable. They seemed to communicate telepathically, coordinating attacks across continents with flawless precision. Some Krill forms could phase through solid matter. Others could regenerate from catastrophic damage. Their very presence warped local environments, their biology exuding toxins or pheromones that induced terror and madness in human defenders. For the Krill, humans are categorized into several groups. Some are biomass, to be broken down and reprocessed. Their bodies are dragged to immense pulsating digestion pits, where they are reduced to a nutrient slurry to feed the swarm. Others are hosts, their bodies used as living incubators for Krill young. The horrifying process involves a parasitic larva burrowing into the human, slowly consuming them from within while keeping them alive until the new Krill hatches. A select few, those with unique genetic traits or useful knowledge, might be kept alive in preservation pods, studied by Krill bioscientists, their minds probed, their bodies experimented upon. Pockets of human resistance exist, fighting a hopeless guerrilla war from hidden bunkers, ruined subways, and remote wilderness areas. They strike from the shadows, trying to inflict whatever damage they can, to save whomever they can, knowing that each day could be their last. Their world is a nightmare landscape of Krill biostructures, towering spires that pulse with an eerie light, vast fungal farms that have replaced forests, rivers choked with alien slime. The sky is a sickly orange, filtered through the Krill's atmospheric processing units and constantly buzzing with their flyer swarms. Krill are not driven by malice, as humans understand it, but by an insatiable hunger, a biological imperative to consume, rechock it, and move on. Earth is just another feeding ground in their endless journey across the cosmos. Once its resources are depleted, they will depart, leaving behind a barren, lifeless husk, and search for their next victim world. The concept of coexistence is alien to them. They are the apex predators of the galaxy, and humanity was simply unfortunate enough to be in their path. The screams of the dying are just another sound in the symphony of consumption, a brief fleeting note in the endless song of the star swarm. The silence that follows will be the true testament to their passage. Number 1. You are not in control. The invisible insects pulling your strings. This world feels normal. You wake up, go to work, fall in love, have opinions, and believe you make your own choices. But you are profoundly mistaken. Humanity is under the complete, albeit invisible, dominion of a species of microscopic insectoids, often referred to by the few aware individuals as psyche mites or motivators. These creatures are so small, they can be airborne like dust, live on your skin unnoticed, or even reside within the water systems. They are everywhere, and they are masters of manipulation. The psyche mites do not control through force, but through exquisitely complex pheromones and subtle bioelectrical signals that directly interface with the human nervous system. They can influence your emotions, shape your desires, implant suggestions, and even sculpt your long-term beliefs, all without you ever suspecting their presence. That sudden craving for a particular food, a psyche mite suggestion. The overwhelming urge to buy that new product engendered by them. Political candidate you feel passionately drawn to or vehemently despise. Their pheromonal campaign is in full swing. Their origins are a mystery. Perhaps they are a terrestrial species that evolved this incredible ability over millennia, learning to guide the dominant ape species for their own benefit. Or perhaps they are of extraterrestrial origin, arriving long ago as spores and subtly integrating themselves into Earth's biosphere. Their ultimate goals are unknown. Are they benevolent shepherds, subtly guiding humanity away from self-destruction, ensuring our long-term survival in a way they deem optimal? Are they farmers, cultivating humanity for some unknown resource we produce? Perhaps a specific emotional energy, or a complex biochemical byproduct of our thoughts? Or are they something far more alien, with purposes beyond our wildest comprehension? Life under psyche mite control is superficially indistinguishable from a world of free will. People argue, innovate, create art, and wage wars. But all these grand human dramas are, in reality, carefully orchestrated plays. The psyche mites can heighten aggression in one population and promote pacifism in another to achieve a desired jolty outcome. They can foster incredible bursts of creativity in science or the arts if it serves their agenda, or suppress inconvenient lines of thought. Imagine a scientist on the verge of discovering their existence. Suddenly they lose interest, their funding dries up, or they become inexplicably fascinated by a completely different, harmless field of study. The psyche mite's collective intelligence is vast and patient. They operate on time scales of centuries, not years. They have guided human evolution, subtly favoring traits that make us more susceptible to their influence or more productive for their unknown purposes. They manage population levels, resource allocation, and even the pace of technological development on a global scale, all through their invisible manipulations. When a new technology is needed, the right ideas are seeded into the minds of receptive inventors. When a belief system becomes destabilizing, it gradually fades from prominence, its adherents finding new, approved passions. The few humans who, through rare genetic quirks or accidental exposure to counteragents, become aware of the psyche mites, live a life of quiet horror. They see the strings, but are powerless to cut them. Any attempt to reveal the truth is easily quashed. They are discredited, labeled insane, or simply lose their motivation to pursue the matter. They watch as their loved ones, their entire society, dance to the tune of an invisible piper. Is this peace, this stability, worth the price of genuine freedom? The psyche might ensure humanity does not wipe itself out, that the planet remains habitable. They maintain a delicate, intricate balance, but it is their balance, not ours. Every strong emotion you feel, every gut instinct, every unshakable conviction could be a whisper from these unseen masters. The very fabric of human experience, the narrative of our history and our future, is a script written by infinitesimal creatures for reasons we may never know. You live in a comfortable, well-managed terrarium, and the zookeepers are too small to see. The illusion of control is their greatest weapon, and humanity, their most successful, unknowing puppet. Your life is not your own. It never was.